Hello students, in the previous video we have seen about different terms in the principles of inheritance and variations chapter. Now we will continue with some more terms. One is heterozygous. Heterozygous. So in this chapter, or when we are talking about genetics, when do we use this term? So heterozygous is term applied to organism that is developed from heterozygote. Now what is meant by heterozygote? Heterozygote means zygote formed by fusion of two non-identical gametes. Now, example. Here we are using the term like two non-identical gametes. Any gamete is haploid in condition. So, if you take one dominant allele in one gamete, which is crossed with another gamete which is having some recessive allele, then this is also gamete. By fusion of these two gametes, the obtained zygote will be having both the alleles, but both are not same. They are of different or contrasting genotypes. This is responsible for the dominant character. What is meant by dominant character? If the nearby or the pairing allele is not getting expressed in presence of this one, then this is considered as the dominant allele. The one which is getting suppressed is called as recessive allele. So this is about heterozygous and its example. The next thing is hemingtigus. It is the term that is applied to the individual. That individual is having only one type of allele of the pair. Here, for suppose, we will remember one example that humans are having how many number of chromosomes? Humans are having 46 number of chromosomes. How many pairs are having? Means 23 pairs of chromosomes. Out of those 23 pairs, in case of female humans, we have only 22 pairs of autosomes. And only one pair of allosome. Means allosome is nothing but considered as a 6 chromosomes. Now, these 22 autochromes are of XX type in case of female. Even the 23rd pair is also XX type only. But if you take male humans, out of the 23 pairs of chromosomes, they have 22 pairs as autosomes. Those are represented as XX type only. But coming to the last one pair, out of that we are telling one pair. But actually that pair is X and Y. Here X is one type, Y is another type. We normally call X as sex-linked chromosome. Out of this pair, this allele is of one type, this allele is of another type. So we are calling such type of organism as hemizygous. So we will write hemizygous means the term applied to organism that has one type of allele of a pair. What is that pair? That pair is X and Y. Out of that pair, one type of allele is either it can be X or either it can be Y. But mostly we talk about X chromosome. Why? Because it is considered as the sex-linked chromosome. If it is not getting transmitted to the female body and Y has crossed with one X chromosome, then during the crossing period, then it will be considered as the male child. Now, so in case of hemizygous, example is male humans. One of the example. So this is the term called as hemizygous term. There is another term called as phenotype. Phenotype is the external and morphological appearance of an organism for a particular trait. I already told you trait is also considered with another term, that is character. Trait or character, or directly we can use the term like phenotype. Though the words are different, meaning is same. In case of phenotypic expression, we do not use the terms like capital T which is dominant, small t which is recessive, like that. We use the terms like height, color, etc. Shape, we can also use the another terms like shape, etc. So this is nothing but phenotype and its meaning. Next, another term is genotype. Genotype means the genetic constitution or genetic makeup of an organism for a particular character or trait. For a particular trait or character. Here, whenever we want to represent the genotype, we represent the type of alleles, not the phenotypic like height and color, etc. Directly we write, if we consider this one as a cell, the genotypic expression means, are there same type of alleles or are there different types of alleles, etc. I have written this capital T many times. It means it is the allele that is responsible for tall of height. This small t is responsible for dwarfness of plant. So this is tallness of plant and this is dwarfness of plant. So these are the two different terms, that is phenotype and genotype. If in a cell the alleles are like this, then we write like this one as, this cell is having homozygous alleles. Homozygous alleles. If the two alleles are of different type, then we use a term like these both are heterozygous alleles. Heterozygous alleles. Next, another important point regarding this both phenotype and genotype. That is, the terms like both phenotype and genotype are given by the terms phenotype and genotype are given by Johansson. Now, let's see another important term, that is hybrid vigor. Hybrid vigor is the term that we use when offspring is superior to its parent. Then we say that offspring is of hybrid and its genotype is of hybrid vigor. Now, hybrid vigor, let's frame out some sentence. The superiority of offspring over its parents is called as hybrid vigor. Now, hybrid vigor is due to heterozygosity of the alleles. Heterozygosity of alleles. In the sense, if the organism is having alleles like this and it is crossed with again the same type of homozygous alleles, then we do not get the hybrid vigor. We get the same type which is equal to that of parent. But if one type of parent is expressing dominant alleles which are getting expressed in presence of another type of alleles, like these are called as recessive alleles because these type of alleles are not getting expressed in presence of another type of alleles. So these are called as recessive alleles. Recessive alleles. Then we get offsprings having genotype like this. Then we say these offsprings are having hybrid vigor. This is about hybrid vigor. Now, another term, that is phenocopy. For suppose there was a population and some of the organisms in that population are having different types of genotypes. Maybe they are expressing phenotypes similarly, but internally their genotype may be different. So, when such type of different genotype containing organisms are dispersed to different habitats or different areas and they have developed their population there, now all the genotypes or all the genome of that population is considered as the phenocopy of each other because their ancestors are same. Though their genotype is different, they are habituated and they have grown and they have developed their next generations in different habitats. Since their ancestral genotype is same, then we use a term like phenocopy. Okay. When organisms in a population have different genotypes and such organisms are dispersed into different habitats and developed or gave rise to their next generations, then such genotypes in that population is said as phenocopy of each other. Such then genotype in such organisms is considered as phenocopy of each other. Phenocopy of each other. This is the term phenocopy. Next one, pure lines. When an organism has retained same character for several generations, then we call such organisms as pure lines or true breeding organisms. Pure lines or true breeding. Now, these are the terms that are applied to the offsprings that have retained a special character even after several generations of self-breeding only. Term applied to offsprings that have retained a special character with concerned genotype even after several generations of self-breeding or self-crossing. Example, if a dwarf plant with such a genotype is crossed with dwarf plant, then we get offspring dwarfness only. Again, if the offspring is again crossed with the same type of homozygous dwarf genotypes, again the next generation also will be so only. We can call this one as F1 generation, this offspring as F2 generation. Likewise, if we keep on increasing with the same type of genotypes in the crossing organism, we will get the same special type of character expressed by the presence of same type of alleles. The type of square diagram that is used to represent the probability of genotypes of offsprings. So what is use of this Punnett square? Probability of the next. So here we can also use this Punnett square with another type of definition. Like it is a square diagram that is used to predict the genotype after a particular cross or a breeding experiment. Is a square diagram that is used to predict the genotype of organisms after a particular cross or after a particular breeding experiment. Here, for suppose, we can take one example, capital T cross with this one. Here, actually, we have to call them as homozygous dominant alleles crossing with the homozygous recessive alleles. We should actually call them like that even when we are talking about the genetics topic. But for your convenience, I am talking as capital T, small t. Please don't mind. Okay, so capital T, this one, homozygous, dominant and recessive alleles, dominant and recessive alleles. Now, this is considered as Punnett square. So now, sometimes this Punnett square is also called with another term, that is checkerboard. Okay. So these are few important terms that we have we have to complete in Principles of Inheritance chapter. Next, in the next video, we will start with Mendelism.